How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Gangi. Welcome to another episode of Tier Talk. Very excited. We have a senator on today's show, Senator from North Carolina, Bob Steinburg. He is very important to us in corrections. He does everything he can to make sure that we have a voice, that we're heard, and he's defending our position. And he's doing it in a fair manner. He knows for a fact that if you want to help the population, you must help staff first. Senator, do you mind introducing yourself to our audience?
No, not at all. I am Senator Bob Steinburg, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here on your show. I represent 11 counties in northeastern North Carolina, and it's Senate District 1. I also, in my district, have the prisons, Bertie, and also Pasquotank, where the 5 murders, butcherings, took place in 2017. So that's how I got involved in all of this. It was right in my backyard, and I couldn't look around for anybody else to help. It was me. The good Lord said, "You're up, buddy." So whenever I grab anything, look out. Katie, bar the door, because I'm going to see it all the way through, and I am going to see prison reform in North Carolina all the way through. If it's the last thing I do, if it takes my last breath, I'm going to help get it done here, and hopefully what we do here will be an example to other states who are also struggling with this issue.
I know that the people that follow my venue from North Carolina believe in you. They believe in your message. All they can do is say good things, that you're a man of your word. And we got a chance to interact a little bit because we are still working on a documentary about Megan Callahan and Callahan's family, Wendy, everybody. They love everything that you have done for them. Why are you so passionate about helping corrections?
Well, this is personal. Let's become personal. Northeastern North Carolina is rural. It's a rural area. Everybody, even though I represent 11 counties, everybody either knows everybody else or they're related to everybody else. You don't ever want to say a bad word about anybody to anybody else in northeastern North Carolina, because you might be talking about their cousin or their best friend or something like that. So these individuals, if I didn't know them personally, I knew their families. And, prisons, when you get into a rural part of any state, the makeup of prisons, not just the employees, but that's the correction officers and the staff and so forth, but many, many families in my region have people that have been incarcerated at one time or another. I mean, it is one of the major employers in our state. So the problem has been, there's never been a lot of publicity about the prisons. It's something that people really don't want to talk about. It's there. We know it's there. We may drive by them and look at them from a distance and think, oh God, I'm glad I'm not in there, or I'm glad I don't work there. But what has happened is a result of these atrocities in 2017 and the news coverage, the justified news coverage that they have received and continue to receive, has, I think, been an impetus to get the word out. People are now asking a lot of questions. Certainly, I jumped in with both feet and over my head, but I am getting an education. I am learning, and most of all, the very most important thing, I am listening. And the folks who know how to fix it, we don't need any special groups to come in, pay any high-priced consultant to come in and tell us what's wrong with the prisons. You want to know what's wrong? Ask the folks on the front lines. They not only will tell you what's wrong, they're going to tell you how to fix it.
You know, Senator, that means a lot, because in our profession we feel forgotten. So for someone to come out like yourself in this position as a senator and say, hey guys, you're not forgotten, and then go beyond the words and commit to action. I mean, I read this great article that you wrote today about the riots that are happening in your community, and you were quick to say, because I think people are not realizing this, how these riots can affect the prisons, especially what happened in 2017. That article was extremely powerful. I posted it up on my websites, but why did you feel the need to write that article?
Well, everything that we're seeing, thank you for your kind words, first of all, and secondly, thank you for posting it up. I felt compelled to do it because, even though I've been elected a senator, I'm still an average Joe citizen. And I, like everybody else, are watching these events playing out on television every night. I have always been a supporter of law and order because without it, we have absolutely nothing. I've gotten a good glimpse of what a lack of law and order is like in the prison system. And that is what has happened, over the years. And I think it's what led up to the events in northeastern North Carolina in 2017. A lack of respect, taunting, all of that kind of stuff. And the correction officers, they were just told to back off. So we had the inmates running the asylum, so to speak. And it was very, very discouraging to very good people in corrections. Most folks don't get an opportunity to talk with anyone in corrections. I'll tell you, they are all American heroes to the man and to the woman. There is nobody that really would prefer, even from law enforcement, to take that kind of a job. I ask people all the time. I ask sheriffs, policemen, police chiefs. I ask folks from every walk of life, if we could pay you $100,000 a year and get you a 20-year retirement, these are people that are in law enforcement. I said, would you go and work in our prisons? And they don't even hesitate. It doesn't take 4 seconds. Absolutely not. So if law enforcement people who deal with difficulties every single day and challenges, if these people who are aware of it don't want to go in, you can see where we are. That's putting a punctuation mark on all of this. And what that is saying is, folks, these are the toughest jobs in America. And being the toughest jobs in America means we don't just put warm bodies in there. We put people in there that are committed to doing this kind of work, that are committed to do the right thing, that are going to earn the respect of those people, not only from the state of North Carolina, the leadership of North Carolina, the governor of North Carolina, the legislature of North Carolina, but they must have the respect of the Department of Public Safety, the Department of Corrections, and the inmates, with no exception. And anything less than that is intolerable.
I'll tell you something. This is not just dialogue for North Carolina as well. This is national dialogue. That's why it's great when I share this. I have people from other states, other facilities that listen to this and would love to see someone like yourself behind them. I know you're kind of short for time, so I have a few more questions, and then I know you got to go. But one of the questions I want to ask you is, what do you feel the public doesn't understand about what we do behind the wall?
Well, first of all, they don't understand because they don't know, they don't want to know. That's the first challenge. And we'd still be there if it weren't for these murders that took place. This touched the lives of everybody. And we had, for the first time in a very long time, we had the media actually jump on this and stay with it relentlessly. That narrative is being told every day. This story is not going to be forgotten. And by keeping it out there and keeping it out there and keeping it out there, then that is helping bring an awareness. We can't allow people to come to our prisons and take tours. That's not what it's all about. But we certainly can continue to tell the story. And the men and women in gray or whatever uniform they might happen to be wearing in their respective state, these people, I notice now when I'm talking to them and seeing them, that they tell me when they go into grocery stores or the pharmacy or whatever the case might be, people are now thanking them for their service. When before, and I got to tell you, I used to think like this, not in a bad way. I never condemned anybody. It was an honest living. But my feeling was years ago, well, they can't get a job doing anything else, so they're working in the prisons. Well, that's wrong. You talk about learning a lesson the hard way. No, we need the best and the brightest. We need an elite corps within our prisons to get this job done. And folks, there need to be physical qualifications. You need to be ready to go. This should be the prestige job in North Carolina and every other state. Very often, like the highway patrol has been over the years and in the many respective states across the country. Corrections has been ignored for far too long, and it is my job, my personal responsibility, at least in North Carolina and through venues like this, to see that that is not only not allowed any further, but to begin to take the steps that are necessary to try and turn this thing around so that we have esprit de corps among the ranks. And this is a job that we don't have to go out and beg people to take. This is a job that people are going to be standing in line to get. I love the expression, the few, the tough, the proud, the Marines. That's what we're talking about with corrections officers. You might want to be a correction officer, but my friend, you can't qualify to be a correction officer because, like the Marine Corps, this takes a very, very special individual to do this job, and we're only going to recruit the best of the best.
You know, what you say makes a lot of sense because, unfortunately, when you don't have the proper incentive, it forces people to settle. And then the problem is that when you're not testing these individuals, you're going to wind up putting them next to me, and I have to work next to them, and you're kind of putting my life at risk. I feel that you don't care. And that's what really means a lot, to hear you say that, to show that we need the best of the best. Because I'll tell you something, we'll be more motivated to do our job when we trust the system that filters the people in and when we know there's the proper incentive. I have one more question I want to ask you, because I know you were doing some discussion on criminal justice reform today, and I know you got to go. So I was hoping that you could help me with this question. What do you feel is the best way we could protect our correctional staff? What is it that we need to do, and what do you think the government is failing to do?
Well, the thing that we need to do, and we've taken the first steps in addressing that in North Carolina, is, as I had mentioned in earlier comments, listening. There is so much that we don't know. There are so many people that proclaim to be experts on this issue, and all they are folks who are digesting a lot of information from what they read, viewing shows like yours, which is very, very important if people will take the time to do that. But what we need to do, the correction officers need an advocate. And correction officers are taking these risks every day. So are the staff. The staff in these prisons need to be not only respected, but they need to be paid on a level with other law enforcement people, and they need to be receiving the same kind of benefits they do, the same kind of retirement benefits. And, you know, they need to also, in my view, be categorized as law enforcement. I think when you begin to do that, I think when you begin to build a sense of pride within the organization, and I think when these correction officers know that they have an advocate, someone who's going to get out there on the stump, not just a couple of times when it's elections are coming up, but someone who is going to be in the trenches each and every day, where this is the main issue for them and they are going to see it through. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be in the General Assembly. I'm 72 years old, fortunately in pretty good health. And I've already served for 8 years. I'm running again for re-election. But I have made this commitment. If the voters will have me back, I have made this commitment. I am there until this situation in North Carolina gets fixed. And I have to believe that there are members of both parties in every state legislature across the country that have this same kind of passion and the same kind of commitment. We need to identify who they are. They need to be articulate spokespersons for correction officers and the Department of Corrections in their respective states. And they need to make a commitment. You know, you can't be a champion of everything. It's impossible to be a champion of everything. I had an old legislator tell me one time, old in years of service and actually old in age. He told me, you know, when you go to the General Assembly, you cannot be an expert in everything. And probably you're not going to be an expert in almost anything, but you need to pick something that you have a great deal of passion for. You need to pick that, you need to embrace it, and you need to run with it, and it needs to be all-consuming. And that's where I am with corrections now, and I've got to believe there are people like me in every single state in the union. We need to identify them, and we need to know. We need to advise these people that are leading the Department of Public Safety and the Department of Corrections that we want answers. We're not entitled, or we're not satisfied with listening to the good old boy chat and, giving us lip service and then going back to business as usual. We've had enough. No more of that. Those days are over. It's time for change, and we're going to change it.
I'll tell you something. It's great to hear that. Real quick before you go, I remember going out. We were filming Megan Callahan's story. Still have to go back. We got to do the court date. But there was such a tight-knit community, and they were so overwhelmed by her loss. But I'll tell you something. Even though they were just overwhelmed with grief, they all knew that you were that person that was doing everything they could, or everything you could, to make the profession safer so this didn't have to happen again. And I know from my perspective as well, from the people I spoke to when I was in North Carolina, you are very much appreciated. You literally have stood behind this profession since day one. And anytime I need to call you, and it's great because I can call you 1, 2 in the morning, you pick it up. You say, Gangi, what can I do? How can I help you? And you proved it by helping me when I was in North Carolina. Sir, you are a man of your word. And at least from my perspective, you have my back because you back the profession and you back the brave men and women that work it. So I salute you, sir. Thank you for everything you do.
Well, thank you very much, Anthony. And it is, believe me, a privilege and an honor not only to serve in the North Carolina Senate, but to be able to represent this fine group of men and women who are among the most dedicated public servants anywhere in the country. And what an honor it is to be able to sit and listen to them and be in the same room with them and breathe that rarefied air that they breathe. I'll tell you something. I am in with the true American heroes each and every day. I visited 45 prisons so far, all right, 45 or 46. There are 7 left to go. I would have had them finished by now, but COVID stopped everything. But my legislative assistant, Ed Stiles, and I, we've already talked to the Department of Public Safety, and we are going to finish those last 7 visits in July, because I want everyone to know we're not going to be, even other legislators, we're not operating on hearsay anymore. You want to know what's going on? You come to me, because I've heard what's going on from every single person that has come up to me and shared what they would like to share. Initially, when we made these trips, folks were intimidated from coming up to me and telling me what they really wanted to say, because you had management lurking around and listening, and they were in trouble. They were going to be on the red carpet if they said anything. Not anymore. They give me carte blanche, and I demand carte blanche, and I'm going to protect them no matter what.
That means a lot, sir. Again, thank you for coming on. I know you're a busy schedule. I'm hoping to have you on once you visit the final 6 or 7 that you have left, and we could really go into a little further discussion. I know that right now you are limited in time, so I wanted to get some of the questions out. So, as always, guys, the show is Tier Talk. If you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell is going to notify you every time I post up a video. Stay safe.